Hi everyone, I hope you are all doing well and staying safe out there. We're in the middle of the semester, which is super crazy. It'll be over with before we know it. So as we are all familiar with, communication is just such a vast concept and there's so many different things that go on within it. I personally love diving deeper into different concepts and theories and seeing how it applies to our daily lives. So in doing further research and gaining a better understanding of this theory, I wanted to talk to you guys today about the spiral of silence theory. Now, I know at least some of us have heard of this before, but I did want to give you guys a brief little history lesson / recap, along with presenting a visual model to kind of explain it further, and then end with some real life examples. So, a little bit of a backstory. So this is set in Germany at around 1974, and there was a political scientist by the name of Elizabeth Noel Newman, who actually first proposed this theory. Now, independentco.uk actually mentions that she was at one time the president of the World Association of Public Opinion Research, which is just really cool. A nice little fun fact about her for you guys, and to kind of show how influential she was back in that time. So, a brief little recap on what the spiral of silence theory is. So, it is basically the relationship between the majority and the minority, specifically what goes on within the minority. So, there's this pressure within the minority to kind of stay silent about their opinions due to fear of isolation or rejection that comes from within the majority. So basically they feel a little threatened by the majority because their opinion is so big. Therefore, the people in the minority decide to stay silent and kind of go with the flow with the majority. So hence the spiral of silence theory. Now, a lot of people say that Elizabeth based this theory off of the events of World War II and what went on in Germany, which, I mean, if you think about it, it kind of does make sense because back in that time, the Nazis were considered the majority opinion at that time within Germany about everything with the Jews and how they needed to be taken care of. And while there were a group of minority people at that time, I mean, hello, first of all, there was a danger factor in speaking out against Hitler. Second of all, it was just this constant pressure and fear of being rejected from that majority group. So therefore, that minority opinion kind of stayed to themselves, kept quiet, and didn't say anything about what they thought about the issue. So now I do want to move further into this by showing you guys a little bit of a visual model. Now, be aware, I am not the best artist in the world, so please excuse my drawing, but I know sometimes it just takes a little bit of a visual effort to kind of grasp the idea a little better. So here is my little drawing for you guys. As you can see, this is kind of explaining why it's called the spiral of silence theory. So what we have is at the top, this is where the majority of public opinion lies. So right at the top of this spiral where it kind of continues to go up, hence the willingness to speak out. So as you kind of continue further, there's more of a willingness to speak out on your opinion. Now there are two main groups that kind of form this spiral. One group is the media / the majority opinion, because within the media, they usually kind of go with the status quo, hence the majority. And then on this side is the minority opinion. So when you combine both of these together, they end up creating this sort of spiral. So as you can see, an example here, just in the middle of this spiral is the person with minority opinion. So the deal is, as this spiral kind of continues, the majority tends to go up while the minority continues to go down until they get to a point where it's just complete and utter silence. So what happens is these people kind of continue down until they just don't speak about it anymore, or some of them even tend to switch sides and go towards the majority side sometimes. So here's the model for you guys. I hope this helped you understand it a little better. And I did want to say masscommtheory.com actually had a great explanation of this that I am going to share with you guys because it did help me understand it a little bit. So they basically worded it as, if that person is more residing towards the majority side, they're going to be more willing to speak out in a public discourse, which, hello, that makes sense. If you're part of the majority, there's no threat there. You're more than willing to speak out about it. But on the other side, if you reside towards the minority, there's a little bit of a pressure not to kind of speak out, because if you're like me and do not like conflict, you just decide to kind of keep it to yourself. So hence the silent effect of this theory. So lastly, I did want to go in and give you guys some sort of examples to kind of help explain this further. There are just so many different ways that this can be applied to even our daily lives. It can be going on in a workplace, amongst your classmates, your family, or even people in your friend group. I mean, literally just, you can come up with anything. And even me doing this research, I was like, I think I've kind of experienced something like this before in a friend group at one time, or in the workplace, whatever. You know, it's just kind of feel like we've all been in that minority group sometimes. So communicationtheory.org gives a great example of this, which I'm going to share with you guys. So let's say you're in a work environment and your boss sends out a mass email saying, hey, I've made a change to the company. This will be effective Wednesday, whatever. So everybody is so excited. All your coworkers are saying, yes, it's a great idea. This is going to be fantastic. You know, whoop-de-doo. Well, on the kind of down low, you and a couple of other coworkers are like, well, I don't really know. This is kind of just out there and all so sudden, and I don't know how this is going to work. But over time, that majority opinion continues to grow and grow and grow, and that's all you hear about all day at the office. So after a while, you and the minority group kind of decide, well, I mean, we don't want to stir up any conflict. We don't want to get involved. There's nothing we can really do. And everybody's so excited about it, so we're just going to stay out of it and just stay silent. So that is a great example of how the spiral of silence theory can apply even within our daily lives. So I hope you all enjoyed hearing about the spiral of silence theory. So again, just a little recap. It is the relationship between the majority and the minority, and where the minority feel pressure to keep their opinions to themselves due to fear of isolation or rejection by the others within the majority. Then we also went and dived into a visual model that kind of helped explain why it is called the spiral of silence theory. And then we looked at some really good examples that we can apply in our own daily lives. So I do challenge you guys to go home, kind of think about this theory a little bit, and maybe even think of your own instances in your own life where you've kind of seen this theory play out. So thank you for watching this, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.